I had a little rant there the one day, but that's okay.
We
Our whole podcast is rants.
No, but it was like, I'm just going to call it how it is. And you know what? You don't like it? There's the door.
I love that. So without further ado, we're going to start
When on Tuesday, make sure you rant.
on Tuesday. Oh, I'll be ranting. Welcome to our third podcast. We are young and eager, and we are still growing, but we got a kick-ass guest today. Entrepreneur, mother of three, fashionista, fitness freak, podcaster, social media influencer, team leader of not one, but two offices. Can you fly?
You know what? Maybe.
She says maybe, everybody. So welcome, Kate Broddick, to our episode here.
Yeah.
And Kate, we got a lot to talk about today. I'm thrilled. I'm loving your Blue Jay shirt.
Yes, I'm very sporty today.
You could tell us later what's up with the Blue Jay shirt. But yeah, tell us a little bit about who you are, how we met, and then we're gonna get into it. Obviously, with our podcast, we always do raw, real, little edgy. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Kate.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're
I'm
welcome.
excited. I think you pretty much nailed it on the head. Mother first, three beautiful boys, ages 10, 6, and 4. Lots of energy, keeps me on my toes. Team offices, I have 2 of them, one in Brantford, one in Norfolk County. This is my 12th year selling in real estate. 9 years, I was number 1. 8 of those years, my team was number 1. Joined Revel in 2021, which would be when we met.
Yes, it was.
And I think the rest is just like this crazy blur of buying, selling, crying, celebrating, influencing, talking.
You have a connection with Burlington. Tell us.
I do, yes, actually.
Before we get into a whole bunch of other amazing things, like what's the connection with Burlington?
So I actually lived in Burlington for several years, and I was in dental hygiene. So in my past life that I can't even remember half the time because real estate has just taken over so quickly. But I was in dental hygiene for several years. I worked at Cornerstone Dental, which was actually in the North End.
Oh my gosh.
It was a Medi-Spa attached to it as well. And I then actually helped open an office with that same dentist in Ayr, which is close to Brantford. And that's kind of where the Brantford roots kind of started to come into.
Okay.
But yeah, I still love Burlington. I have lots of friends in Burlington. Way better restaurants in Burlington. But yeah, it's a beautiful city.
That's
and
amazing.
I actually really had a hard time leaving here.
So for those that don't know, that she's a powerhouse in the Brantford, Oxford community. Would you have, did you think of being in real estate in Burlington at the time? Did that cross your mind before heading out to?
I actually started here.
You did start
I
as a
did start
realtor.
here. I was in my courses when I was in Burlington.
Oh my.
So I was in full-time dental hygiene, and I was taking my real estate courses. I mean, this feels so long ago that it was the 3 courses, and then you had to take 2 electives or something in 18 months. I can't remember. It was very different than they have it now.
You and I started, I think, almost at the same time. I started 10 years. I'm going on 10 years next Jan. So I think the criteria was
just a couple. Yeah, probably would have been.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually starting in here, and then I made the move to to Brantford, and I had just finished my courses and then signed with Sutton.
Right.
So it was within months of moving here, but that would have been the goal had I not moved.
So was it foresight that you had about what was going on the West End?
Not
was it
at all.
Foresight that you seen this?
Serendipitous.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what? I moved there I was still in hygiene. Within 9 months, I had to make a decision. I loved my career as a dental hygienist. I loved the people. I loved the families that I worked with. but the something in me told me, no, you got to go all in with this.
Wow.
And so I was making $90,000 a year 12, 13 years ago. I was making great money working Monday to Thursday, 7 to 7, and then Thursdays, 7 to 12. Great schedule. Could pack up my operatory and go home and not think about it. But I wouldn't have changed a thing because I just love the diversity and the opportunities in this career. So I'm really happy that I
did you start as an individual agent? Were you on a team at the time? That part I don't recall.
I was an independent agent. Okay. I started the team 3 years later. With an admin was my first team member. Evolved into a couple agents, added another couple of admins, and then it's been like this ever since. Grows, expands, contracts. It's been all over the place as it does, right?
Yeah.
Real estate
Congrats.
changes.
That's like, it's amazing for you to go into uncharted waters and do what you've done in these last 12 years. It's astronomical. One thing I don't know if you know, you probably do, but when you were with Sutton,
yes,
we were with Remax.
Yeah.
So we weren't sure what we were gonna do. We had ideas of going somewhere else. We didn't know where. And when I was following you on social, and when that move happened, it was like there was a massive light bulb. It was a moment that if a powerhouse is going to Revel, there's got to be some incredible reason. So I always say to Ryan and Nikki, like, you are one of the big reasons why we joined.
Oh, I love that.
That is amazing. Like, kudos to you. So that's kind of how Kate and I have met. Like, it's been a few years already. We collaborate.
Yes.
One thing in this industry that I think, and you say this really well on your podcast, it's all about like collaboration, teamwork, helping each other out.
Yeah.
Those concepts almost were lost, I feel, for years and years, and still in some areas they're not there. So it's one thing to call a mentor or a coach, but like to call a colleague and say, hey, what's going on in your market? How, like, what's working for you? Let's try to help each other out. Even though you're out in Brantford area, processes and systems, they should be implemented across the board. So tell us about like the collaboration and how that's helped you, not just with the Revel side of things, but just your journey. Teamwork and collaboration.
I mean, I'll say it didn't always start out that way. And I think there was a very big learning curve and growth spurt that I had to go through. I think as you would probably have experienced in the real estate industry, when you get this person who is on an upwards trajectory, sometimes you get this negative attention because like, how could they be doing so well, instead of congratulating them and encouraging them and saying, wow, they're on to something, they're doing really well. Our industry for a long time didn't have that. And so I think it hardened me around years, probably about 5 to 8, because I was so tired of being the target of just this nasty, grotesque behavior because I was doing well. Right. And that is something that I think our industry really needs to move away from. And then I started to realize that kind of impact, I have a choice to either let it affect me or to keep moving forward. And I really changed my trajectory about 3 years ago when I thought, you know what, I'm closing myself off to opportunities to engage with people like yourself, like you and Rosie, amazing human beings, you know, great people. Why do I have to be like that with the people who matter, who are good-hearted, ethical, work hard? They just want to make a name for themselves just because of the impact of some bad apples. And so I really started to push forward and say, you know what, I don't have to be like this because people are making me feel inferior. And so I dropped that bullshit so fast. And I thought, you know what, my legacy in real estate isn't going to be that I didn't have the colleagues that I wanted to surround myself with. I didn't have the mentorship that I wanted. I made the move to Revel. Nikki and Ryan, amazing mentors. Great people to mirror yourself after as leaders. And I thought, no, this is where I'm going to be with this. And so I started to realize that sharing what's brought me success is not going to dim the shine that I have, but it's only going to make our industry shine brighter. And that has been my mantra from the last 3 years. And I live by that now.
I think people are seeing this, Kate, like with all the conferences that you're a part of. the social media, like people are getting inspired. And this is amazing because normally it's exactly what you said earlier about you see these big teams or these big successful people get to the top, and most people are just thinking of, well, they must be doing something, and they don't share anything. They're getting lucky, or they're who knows what. Like people think negative right away.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that success sometimes brings those doubters and negative people. Now, what you're doing is phenomenal. We're seeing it at these big conferences. I think a lot of people are getting inspired. They're starting to see the big picture that, hey, like when we're doing the deal together, we're not competing.
Yeah, it's not me versus you.
The client is in the middle, or our client, and we're trying to put this together for a win-win-win. So in these areas, in the GTA area, it's pretty feisty out there, and you get some part-time agents, you get some people who don't properly know how to handle any scenario, and it makes life miserable. But we need more people like yourself just being out there and saying, hey, you know what, success is there, tons of businesses out there, and here's how you can do it. And I feel the more that we can extend and give advice to those that want it and want to do something good, it's only going to change the industry.
Well, I mean, look at our teams. Like we had that meeting, what was that, about 18 months ago, where you got on a call and coached my agents on how you're keeping track of your lead generation. And I have a couple of agents on my team who that's their Bible.
I love that.
And that was not my genius. The way I was sharing it wasn't how they weren't learning it the same. And vice versa. Like if you ever wanted systems and processes, if you ever wanted contracts for agents or for staff members, or, hey, Kate, you know, how's your licensed assistant running anything?
Right.
It's an open book for me. It's like, if I can help you, I would be more than happy to do that, just because together we do achieve more, right? That's what teamwork is.
That's the utopia that we're looking for in this industry. It's like driving by other agents' sign and not grinding your teeth. It's more like clap, 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 like happy emoji. Like it should be happy.
Yes.
It shouldn't be this dog eat dog world, which we're in. And unfortunately, I think just the good human beings will always prevail. I think the more of us that keep popping up and doing podcasts and Instagram about what really is happening is what's going to change this industry. So I want to ask a question about teams, because you and I, we always talk about teams, and you're a team powerhouse. But when it comes to real estate, you hear about a lot of teams out there. What about a team is so valuable to the seller or the buyer? What really makes these clients excel when there is a team?
I think it's also about the focus on what your team does, because I mean, we know this, every team is run very differently.
Right.
So how we run our team, and what I would say that I really glorify, is that we have such a monster of a machine in our back end, which is going to help you with your inside sales, your social media, your customer care and concierge, our director of communications, operations. We have so many departments that are so detailed and focused on certain areas of our business that they never have to wait for any department to get back to them, because it's a one-person show running a very niche part of our business, that they're not waiting for agents, 2 days to get back to them. They're not worried about feedback not being delivered to them from their showings. They're not worried about another follow-up if the person was person was interested. They're not worried about wondering like, hey, what are you guys doing for marketing? They're getting analytics on all of our back-end marketing sent right to our client, our seller, so that they understand what we're doing to push their listing. And that is not something that a one-man show can do. I can tell you, because I did it for 3 years at a very high volume. I was, transacting more than 100 transactions year 3. And I was running it all myself. Jeez. Social media, deals admin, customer care, listings. Admin. Yeah, doing my own paperwork. Like, one person can't do that. Otherwise, well, they could, but then they're going to miss so many steps that provide service. Actually, I'm going to tell you a little story. So I just listed a rural property on 5.5 acres, and I'm not going to say the property because it was previously listed, and I'm not here to discredit anybody, but when we got a conditional offer after 9 days on the market, and this is a high price listing, and market conditions were not favorable last year, so I mean that's of no fault of anyone other than what we were currently in. And my client Kathy said to me when I called her to congratulate her, and I was like, we did it, and it was exciting, and the energy was there. And I said, I wouldn't mind asking, like how was this experience for you? Like how do you feel? And she goes, honestly, Kate, what a whirlwind of good vibrations the entire time from start to finish, from your videographer, your photographer, your assistant, your staff, your concierge. Our Victoria does our, like, we call it concierge and customer care. It's just like checking in, like, what can we do for you?
Right.
How you doing with this? Like making sure that our client feels so welcomed. She said from the last DocuSign initial and signature, it was amazing.
And on that note, this is what you're paying for as a homeowner. I know there's always talks about commissions. There's agents that will bastardize their commission and their livelihood, and that's them. When you are dealing with this massive purchase, massive sale, and you can have this peace of mind and hand over everything to incredible teams or realtors that can do it all, I think it's priceless. And we just had a similar client that there was two agents that tried to sell a home. One can't name agents, wish I could, but I won't. But they're notorious for taking listings and going 200,000-300,000 over.
Yeah,
like ridiculous, right? Clients get excited about that price, then their hopes get up. All of a sudden, weeks later, it's like, oh, you got to drop another 100. You got to drop another 100. And this client that we got, thank God it came from a referral. But they were burned twice. Two different realtors, horrible strategies. When we had the assessment of the home and the valuation, we just said, listen, I do have a team. We have our analysis, our stats. This is our price. We are firm with this. And we were very confident. And sometimes we might lose a listing presentation because we come in with our strategy. And we always say, if we can't believe in our strategy, then we've already been out negotiated.
Yeah.
And we got the listing. We sold it in an incredible amount of days. This is like a $2.5 million home. It's like stunning, but the amount of thank yous throughout the journey and the review that we just got was a novel. Like, that's why we do what we do. And this is why we have an incredible team behind us. This is why we invest in the team, because clients need to see that experience.
They do, and they deserve top-notch service. And I mean, once again, I don't want to be critical of the customer service industry, but I'm going to be critical of the customer service industry. I feel like before the pandemic and after the pandemic, it's declined. So for someone to get what I think should be the level of expectation and be so overwhelmed with gratitude,
right,
because you did for them what you should be doing for them, it makes me want to do more. It makes me want them to say, no other team is going to ever give you this service because we've experienced it firsthand. And that's what my goal is. Yeah. And that's why we have teams.
I love that. The teams is, like you said earlier, if you're a single agent, you can take a lot on, but there's going to be some gaps. So I think having the right people always is a good idea. So do you have any past life lessons or experiences that help you successfully lead your team, whether it was sports or family? Like, what has really made you top level with your teams?
Oh, that's a very good question. I'm wearing a Blue Jays jersey, but I couldn't name one player on the Toronto Blue Jays. We have a head coach summit, and we're going to a Blue Jays game, and so I thought I'd be a little sporty today.
I think you're wearing Guerrero. Is it Guerrero today?
It is.
Oh, Vlad is. He's,
I wouldn't have been able to pronounce it though, so I didn't.
I love it. You're gonna have a blast.
Yeah, you know what? I've always been a part of organizations. I was, believe it or not, in sports when I was younger. Always was in team environments, and I think, if I can be honest about this, I don't think I had it figured out when I started. I think it took experience and a lot of inner work to get to where I am today. And I actually just said this on another podcast, that if I could look back, I don't know that I would have been proud of the leader that I was when I started, because there was a lot of ego there. There was a lot of figuring it out where maybe I wasn't quite ready, but I did it anyways.
Right.
But I recognized that within myself, and I really took the time to educate myself, to do conferences, to collaborate with other leaders, to figure out how to do this in a way to be open-minded. And I would say, if I was to say anything to a team leader, don't walk into a room like you have it all figured out. Don't walk into the room like your idea is the only idea. Don't walk into a room and think that the only way to get there is on your pathway, because people on your team are resilient. They're brilliant. They have better ideas sometimes than you. And you need to be open to that, because in order to be a team leader, you need to have a team. And in order to have a team, you need to have people who believe in you, which means that you believe in them as well.
Absolutely.
Right?
There's a really famous saying, and I can't remember it, but it has to do something along the lines like, before the client comes your employee or your team, something along the lines that you have to have, you got to treat those around you and groom them so that they are a reflection of you.
And lead with humility.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's okay to look back and say, you know what, I wish I had known then what I know now. But I think if you stay there, that shows that you don't have any growth.
I love, my team can attest to this, but it's just who I am. And I love to be challenged.
Yeah.
And I love when they all get on me and they're like, this is how it's gotta be, and we feel this is the right, and I always encourage it. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose, but I'm very cool that way, that I don't mind admitting to defeat. I don't mind saying, you know what, my idea that I thought was awesome, after thinking about it 2 or 3 times, and you guys pointing out this awesome reason as to why it's not gonna work, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
But I like being tested. It's just the Scorpio in me. I've always I don't like when people are just like, yeah, oh, great idea, Rene, and it's like,
that's complacency now.
Yeah, to be and I think my sports upbringing is a part of that, because I had great coaches and I had bad coaches, and there was times they'd drop a play and I'm like, for the love of what why
is this?
Why? And I would challenge them, and maybe half the time they would actually listen, which I wish they listened more. But I encourage this with my rep basketball team, rep football team. I encourage the kids to challenge me if I call a play and it really doesn't make sense for, like, in that moment.
Yeah.
I say, let's take a timeout. Like, let's pivot. And pivoting is huge. Ryan and I had a funny, in our podcast, we use the Friends analogy of pivoting. But I love pivoting, and I love to just step back and ask myself, is this going to make sense? And Rosie does an incredible job. She's the one who really keeps me from getting in a lot of trouble. She's always looking at me things from a different angle, and our whole team does that. So love that. I want to change gears here a little. Yeah. So I want to talk about some peeves. Peeves, man. I created a word that's not, I'm pretty sure it's not even a word. Okay.
Oh, I love that.
But I wanted to create a word that I feel people are catching this disease in real estate when the market is either amazing or when the market is down.
Yep.
I've created a word, and maybe you can help me elaborate on this, but it's called Market-litis.
Market-litis?
Market-litis.
Market-litis.
Market-litis. Okay, so hear me out. Over the last few years, and even especially since 2017, when we seen the crazy market in 2017 and what happened then, and then we seen 2021, 22. We see a lot of people with this market-litis, where as the tides go high, everybody's on this board of like, hey, market's crazy, it's hot, we're selling like hotcakes, like, and they're on this market-litis ride. Yeah. Then the market goes down, and now it's all of a sudden, it's a crash, and everybody starts putting it on social. They start reposting negative headlines, and the market-litis is kicking in, right? It's almost like you're just not sure which way is the wave going. So do you see that right now in your market a lot, where people are like, even like a couple months ago, just because the market started to maybe get a tiny bit better, they were over embellishing the market.
Oh yeah.
They were making it worse in some cases too by holding offers when there really wasn't a need to hold offers. Are you seeing market-litis?
So you and I are on the exact same page,
okay,
and I have to stop myself from ranting unless it's on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because why are you putting the fear of God into people?
Right.
Guys, we just came out of the biggest pile of
Exactly.
crap in real estate in 2023. Now you're going to pivot and be like, buyers, you better get out
I
there.
know.
Houses are selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars more. There's multiple offers. Why don't you say, hey, buyers, you know what? It might be a really good idea to get into the market. Talk to your mortgage agent. We're seeing movement now.
Yes.
Why does it have to be this, like, I'm dizzy. I'm literally dizzy.
I get nauseous. And,
Yeah.
and yeah, we do share the same philosophy, but I don't understand
Market-litis.
Market-litis. I am going to
Market-litis.
trade Market-litis, and it's a disease when I feel agents are resorting to whatever makes sense on
It's like
socials.
a fear mongering.
Yeah.
And yet they're killing the media for the same thing. It's like,
The worst is when you approach these agents that have Market-litis, and then they're like, they are very defensive. They
Yeah.
have these traits where, I'll give you an example. It's happened in the last few weeks many times. Market value, they priced it at market value. I'll give them full price, day one on the market, full price. And then they're like, oh, I can't get a hold of my clients. I can't get a hold, in this day and age, I can't get a hold of them. 4 hours goes by, 6 hours. I can't. Oh, well, they're busy over here. 10 o'clock rolls around. Oh, well, I have another offer just came in.
and you suddenly got a hold of your client.
And you got a hold, and it's 10 o'clock, and now you're presenting offers tomorrow. Meanwhile, I have a beautiful family who was willing to pay you full price.
Yeah.
It should be a crime almost to put a price and then not accept it if it doesn't make sense. If it does make sense,
Yeah.
right? So we see a lot of that in our
Yeah.
markets, and I feel it could be just egos getting in the way. I feel that some agents
1000%.
thrive on telling the client, hey, client, I got 2 offers now all of a sudden. But to your point, 2023 was it was a
dumpster fire.
it was very stressful, not just for agents, and a lot of them left. About 30,
Yeah.
40,000 left the industry. So I feel that clients they don't need any more. Imagine you're going to a therapist, and it's 1 minute they're telling you one thing, the next session it's another thing.
They're
So
creating an emotion and a heightened emotional response when our job is to stabilize clients' emotions so that they can rationally think through their transaction and come out ahead. When it's all of this emotion of highs, lows, this, that, social media. Oh my God, buyers. No wonder buyers don't want to come to the table.
Yeah.
It's they're already fearful with higher interest rates. The market's still high. If you think of income to percentage of home prices, people are squeezed right now. So they're already afraid to pull the trigger. And then you think that by adding, oh, if you don't get into the market now, you'll never get into the market. You think that comment is going to cause them to push forward. I don't buy into it. I agree with you 100%. I feel like our job is to create awareness, not to create panic.
Yeah, I love that. And we have an obligation to our clients to tell them and advise them on, yes, you shouldn't buy. No, you shouldn't buy. Hold off. Take it easy. Take your time. We live another day tomorrow. So
Yeah.
I think that's just what separates us from those that have Market-litis.
Market-litis.
My other peeve here, it's just it's social media and that imposter syndrome. So I know you're amazing at creating the content, helping others, but if there's any agent out there that's doing a disservice, what can you tell people to just when they're trying to create their own niche, but they're just constantly using all sorts of negative information out there?
I mean, this is the thing, is what you put out, you will attract. I'm a big believer in that. I'm a big believer that you're going to get the energy that you put out, no matter who you are in life. If you're a new agent, are you worried about people judging you?
Mm-hmm.
That imposter syndrome. I still suffer from that. Once again, anytime you're putting yourself out into a mass amount of people, you're opening yourself up to be rejected, but you're also opening yourself up to inspire. And I think that's what needs to be focused on. And the right people will follow suit. The wrong people, no matter what you did, you couldn't have inspired them anyways. And you're only doing yourself a disservice by not providing yourself with the greatest opportunity to further your career and to gain those clients. I think that social media should be used in a positive way. I think that social media sometimes can lean too much into the negative,
Right.
especially in our industry. I think that social media has a way to open up doors for those who use it properly and has a way to close doors for those who do not. So, new agents, I think they need to ask themselves the question, who am I? What is my why? What are my goals?
Right.
Do they align with who I want to be? Am I sending the right message? Is it necessary, the message that I'm sending? And what do I expect to come out of this?
And I think for those that are listening, you gotta listen to Kate's podcast. There's some incredible guests that went in there, and just I think the biggest thing I got from a lot of them was the BYOB in terms of be your own brand, find yourself. Like it all stems from who you are.
Absolutely. Authenticity.
People will feed off of who you are. Like brokerages are a big deal and all, but I feel that if you go do a great job with one client, they're not going to remember the brokerage as much as they're going to remember Kate.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think a lot of newer agents or just agents that are struggling need to just remember, like it's you that they're hiring.
And I think a big part of this really stems from something that a lot of people don't want to address, and that's you have to like yourself. Because if you don't like yourself, you're not building a brand that's authentic to you because you're too busy focusing on other people that are doing really well because you're insecure about you. So you want to be like them. No, be yourself. Yeah. Just love who you are.
It's the easiest way to not struggle, to not have a script. I mean, I got questions here and all, but like, I don't need a script. You don't need a script to go and help people. That's a big thing in this industry is that it's just avoiding the ego, especially when you're not really producing. And it's like there's a lot of people that have this ego. They've got the posts and they look really busy on social. And if you're busy, fine. I mean, hey, but
you still can leave the ego at the door. Actually, I saw the broke agent that says, so funny, the agent that has no deals and all of a sudden is a real estate coach. It's true. Just drop the ego. Just be yourself.
You gotta have humor in this industry. I feel like you can't be all hard on it.
Oh, Rene, we're all a little crazy.
We
lost our minds a little.
But I do believe in the law of reciprocity. So one thing I know you preach it is give first, receive after. I hope that people just take away from all these good podcasts out there and just genuine chats that, like, you know, we work hard. We're putting a lot of time into our client, but even into fellow realtors.
Yes.
That's what we are trying to change this industry, even if it's one client at a time. But the industry needs a big overhaul.
It does. It needs a big overhaul. I think it needs to reevaluate the values we're supposed to be sharing. Once again, like energetics, like what you give, you're going to get back. So really think about how you're going to treat your colleague.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be their listing that you're bringing the offer to next time. Really think about how, you're going to market yourself and how you're going to portray yourself. But it's not just about what you're doing. It's about how you're acting. Mm-hmm. So stand behind what you're saying. We're responsible for what we put out there.
We recently, last week. So it's funny. You're touching on like fellow colleagues, right?
Yeah.
I helped a client buy a home last week. The way we ended off with this other agent, I wish it could have been more of a celebratory, but it wasn't. It was kind of the Market-litis situation. But the funny thing where I'm going with this is that I put an offer on a property yesterday. We didn't get it. No Market-litis. And it was, I actually felt good with this agent. I felt great. There was some great communication, empathy. It's sad that even when we work so hard to get a deal done, and then because of what happens on the other end, we can't really celebrate that. And here we are yesterday. I didn't get the deal, but I met a great agent, handled it amazingly, and congratulated him. So I think that's where we're trying to get this message across, that even when we lose, it's not the end of the world. Like you gotta find that silver lining.
And the next time you come up against that agent in terms of the transaction, not up against as in, one-on-one, that the groundwork and foundation of that already positive experience is probably going to get you the deal done.
Yeah.
You're both going into it understanding each other and knowing what the other person is all about. And I just wish that more agents would realize that this comes back tenfold. How you treat each other matters.
Yeah.
We're colleagues. We may be competitors, but you will cross that agent's path again. And I can assure you that it's not going to feel that great. And I do hold grudges. No, I'm kidding. No, I do just a little bit.
Well, we have a good memory. We remember. But on that note of grudges, one of the last things I want to just chat about, it's kind of on the line of still peeves, but like, is there something that you are hoping this industry really, really improves on? Like, I want to end this podcast with like your words of wisdom about the industry and just how or what people can do to get better.
I think it starts with their mouth. I think there's a lot of this that goes on in our industry. And I think that if it's going to be this, celebrate. Perfect example. I took over a listing that was listed last year. The sellers, I knew that it had been previously listed. I obviously looked up the listing.
Right.
They had nothing bad to say. I don't ask them either. I just said, what are your expectations this time around? And they shared with me some of the barriers from last year. I could have, but what would be the point? Said, oh, well, I'm here to do a better job. And I said, you know what? I'm going to have to tell you this. The market last year was awful.
Right.
There was a barrier that was in place that many of us could not push through. And instead of focusing on that, let's focus on what we're going to do moving forward. So I really hope that moving forward, agents take the time to celebrate and praise our fellow realtors, even if we're taking over business that maybe they didn't accomplish a successful outcome, that we stop talking poorly of one another and we start praising people for what they bring to the table. And I think that honestly, if I could say one thing that I think would make this industry better, it would just be more collaboration. And if you don't have anything nice to say, shut your damn mouth.
Amen to that. I love it.
Just be kind.
Yeah.
Be
Law of
nice.
reciprocity. Treat others how you want to be treated. The golden rule, right? Sometimes I feel like I feel that we're just talking to kids at times, and it's like the basics in life.
How do you want your kids to look at you?
Hold the door for someone.
Yes.
In the mall, right? Our kids are hilarious. They always hold the door for others, and they don't get a thank you from adults.
That's terrible.
And we teach our kids, we say that, you know what? There's always going to be people out there that no matter what you do, it won't change. You can't change them, and they're very narrow-minded. You
know what? I live one thing every day. Like every day I live my life by the fact that if my kids could look back 15 years and see me in this moment, would they be proud?
Amazing.
And if the answer is no, then I got to give myself a check, because I'm their role model. And I want my kids to be proud of their mother. I want my kids to have a role model who's going to set a good example for them. And that is how I live my life. And I think more people need to step up to
It's almost like you're looking into the future with every action that you are currently doing right now.
Those are the three little people in my life that need to be like, I'm proud of my mom. I know who she is.
Oh, they're going to be proud. I hope they all get into real estate. I hope. I always have a dream. I have a dream that my kids are going to get into it.
You're going to sell alongside them?
I want them to.
I love that.
There's a lot of things that I think we can have fun with in this industry. Like, real estate is a beautiful industry if you have the right people around you.
That's right. You're not wrong.
Kate, thank you a gazillion for being here. You're a doll. You are one of the most genuine people that I've met in the business world, and I got a ton of respect. So
same here.
Thank you for being on our third episode.
I am so grateful. Thank you. And I love your jacket again.
I love our colors.
Yeah, it's great.
Ash, are we good?
That was good.